Well, we now know that the user has an annual income of 21,150, and we know that if we change any of these variables, numbers, it will affect the result. Let's say that she only works for 5 days a week. This number here should change, and it has changed. I'll put it back to 6. So now we need to look at the expenses. The user has told us she is going to charge herself £15,000 a year. This is going to be her salary in the first year. I have done some research and found a Belmarsh kitchen, which I'm going to enter. My research has also told me that the lease cost of this kitchen is £247. Now I'd better format that cell to currency. I've also noticed I made a slight error here. There's no capital. Now the question is, what's the yearly lease? Well, we know there are 12 months in a year, so I have to multiply the cost of a kitchen, 247 leased, by 12. So I click the cell and F11 appears, times, this time I can just enter 12 and press enter. So the user will have to pay £2,964 each year for the lease of the kitchen. The next task is to work out the fuel usage. Now we're using gas, so how many yearly fuel units do we use? Well, each lesson uses 2 units of fuel, so the multiplication is number of lessons multiplied by 2, so equals, I select the number of lessons per year, D13 appears, multiplied by the fuel used per lesson, which is F13, and press enter. So currently the units are 3,384 units of fuel used each year. I can test that by, if I change, if we use 3 units of gas per lesson, that number changes automatically. I will correct that now. The next task is, how much does each fuel of unit cost? And the current cost is £1.29 per unit, which is quite expensive. So I now need to work out the total fuel cost per year. So that is equals the cost of fuel per unit multiplied by the total yearly fuel units. So it's F15 multiplied by F14. If I press enter, we can see a total of £4,365.36 in fuel each year. I can test that. If I change again the fuel gas per lesson from 2 to 3, this number should change. And it changes, so it works. I will reduce it back to 2. The next task will be to work out the total amount spent.